Okay, welcome back, and we are still broadcasting live from the MTech Centre here in Monaghan at Border Bizcamp. My next guest is Bernard Kerik, otherwise known as Mr. Lego. Bernard, you're very welcome to the Business and Enterprise Programme.
Thank you, Colm. It's been a fantastic opportunity to be here. I have to say there's an incredible energy here, and I know the day helps, but amongst the people that I've met here, and I think it's a fantastic idea and concept, and we really should replicate this in a lot of places around the country.
Absolutely, because I was here last year. In fact, I was speaking here last year, and I had my daughter with me, and she had just finished her Leaving Cert, and even she felt a buzz in the energy, because coming back she was saying, well, are we going to try this, are you going to try that, and you're around people who are full of, there was not a hint of negativity has been raised here today.
Yeah, I found that even afterwards, even the conversations afterwards, a number of people who came up, quite a number of them had even, helpful suggestions, and even the interaction with them was all positive, because they have products themselves that were looking for just little bits of advice. And it's great to come into like a little community here on a Saturday, away from, this kind of negativity we sometimes get, and to see people who are actually at the coalface making a difference. And it's really encouraging, and I have to say uplifting.
Now, your own presentation.
Okay, so basically what I was saying, Colm, was that we are a group of teachers in Galway. I'm a director of an education centre. You've one here in Monaghan with Jimmy McGeown, does a fantastic job. And over a number of years, we've worked and are working with some of the biggest brand names and companies in the world. And I suppose the question often is asked, like, well, how did teachers in Galway end up working with the likes of SAP, HP, Medtronic, Lego Education? We're now working with Universal Studios. And I suppose the key to it is that we think big. We have the confidence when we go out to talk to people, even if it's just following people up after a conference, to actually think that yes, we can make a difference. The second point I was making is that we know our why. Simon Sinek has a really good piece on he's written a really good book on Know Your Why. We see our why as being how to change kids' lives. Third area which I was looking at is the fact that you have to have a win-win situation. So even with very, very big companies, they can benefit from a small group of people working with them. One of the examples we had was last year, where we sent 12 to 15-year-olds to Pensacola in Florida to the National Flight Academy, and this was through Universal Studios. We would have thought, well, how is this actually a win-win situation? But when the kids arrived, they had rebranded the National Flight Academy to the International Flight Academy, and within a short period of time the kids were being interviewed by local news media who were portraying it as, here the National Flight Academy is only open 2 months and already we have international students from Europe. So sometimes we think, well, how does this work? But actually if you look for the win-win, it's quite often there.
Now, when you're often thinking big, acting big and talking big, in Ireland, that's sometimes looked at a negative. Oh, look at him, he's bragging. Look at him, he's an international trader. He sells stuff over the border to Northern Ireland. Technically, yes, that is international trade. And to make yourself feel like an international trader, there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, the mindset in Ireland is always, put you down for that.
Yeah, I mean, there's the old story I remember hearing years ago about the IDA guy who was in the States, and he was sitting with someone next to the lobster tank, and the lobsters started splashing, and he called the waiter, and the waiter, he said, there's a problem with the lobsters, and they're beginning to splash, and the person was here with me, and the waiter said, no, he said, it's okay, they're Irish lobsters, and automatically the IDA guy said, well, where are they from, what part of Ireland? He said, no, he said, they're Irish lobsters. When one of them gets to the top, there's always another to pull it back down. So there is that, and you just got to move beyond that. Yeah. And that's why we find actually our source of that thinking big comes from the kids. Because we have young people who have gone internationally, have gone to some of these huge events in the States and have actually won at these events. And they don't see themselves as any different. They see they have they go out there with a fantastic mindset. We've had a team from Citywise in Tala, Jobestown, who went in the first Lego League to Europe, and this was an open European competition. There were teams from China, California, and all over the world there. They came back one of the top 3 prizes won in the last month. And you might say, well, hey, coming from Jobestown, you have all the challenges and difficulties there. But with the young people, they don't see barriers. And I think that's influenced us as adults, and particularly as teachers, to say, these kids don't see barriers. Why should we see barriers when we're dealing with these big companies?
2 things. When you say kids, are we talking young teenagers, or are we talking college graduates?
We're talking from 6 to 26, because we have Junior First Lego League, which runs for 6 to 9 year olds, and we have robotics running all the way up to third level university students. We also work with quite a number of the companies who want us to feed back into the department the kind of skills that they're actually looking for. So we're talking about all ages, but we actually are particularly focused on primary and second level students.
And the Lego League, what exactly is that?
Okay, the Lego League is an international competition. It's based on the Mindstorm robot. They have each team is comprised of about 10, up to 10 students. What they have to do is they have to undertake a project every year. Now, for instance, this year it was senior citizens. So they looked at a problem people had over 60 years of age, and then they created a solution. The second part is they have a number of tasks to undertake with the Mindstorm. So they have to program the Mindstorm and build a Lego robot. And the third part of it is teamwork. So all of these elements come together. They usually work at it for about 4 or 5 months, either in school or in their community, because there's a community aspect as well. We have quite a number of this teams. In fact, Citywise I just mentioned, they're a community team rather than a school team. And then they come and compete in Galway. Last year was January, possibly this year will be February, with 28 teams, including actually a French team who came over to join our competition this year.
So Bernard, in a nutshell, if you're gonna, no matter what your age, if you're gonna think big.
Exactly.
Bernard Kerik of Galway Education Centre, thank you for your time. I'm now with George Morton of the Morton Group, who is here at Bizcamp. Now, most of the people here at Bizcamp are possibly young, fresh-faced entrepreneurs who are looking everything forward. George has seen things on both sides. He was top of the heap in the motor trade at the height of the Celtic Tiger, and then took a tumble. And he realised as he was tumbling down that institutions that had made fortunes from him in his heyday were now kicking the hell out of him. And he decided to fight back. George, you're very welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
A reasonable analysis. On the way back down, you found that you weren't being treated the way you should have been.
Well, on the way back down, it was difficult, and I suppose, in fairness to the people that I borrowed money from, they had every right to pursue their money. I think it was a crazy time in Ireland. We're talking about 2008, 9, 10. I think banks had no strategy. They were running out of money themselves. There was no leadership in the government at the time. It was a crazy time in this country, and I think we all suffered individually, and I think we all paid the price, not just financially but emotionally and every other way. So not a particularly nice time, and I'm glad to have it behind me.
But you fought back, and dare I say, you even became a champion for people who are in the same boat as yourself.
Well, I wouldn't say that was what I intended to do. I fought back for personal reasons, and I wanted to go down with a fight. I didn't want to limp down. I wanted to give it my best shot, and I felt that if I went down, I'd have done that, and if I didn't go down, that my fight would have paid off. And so when I say I fought back, I didn't shy away from dealing with the issues. I didn't avoid the issues. I took them head on. I was very transparent with my borrowers. I engaged with them. I tried to find a resolution with them. I was angry with some of them. They were angry with me as well. But it was a long process that eventually brought about a resolution. But the resolution wasn't just simply brought about by me. Actually, where we are in the country right now is a time of resolution with banks, and so it was the right time at the right place, having done the right thing for the two or 3 years prior.
Now, you've written 2 books. You're on the media circuit, for want of a better word. But what steps have you taken to rescue the day job, the motor business?
Yeah, well, that's what the second book is about, really. The book is called Back in the Driving Seat, and it's about dealing with the debt, but it's also about recovering the business through the use of my own creative juices and the use of creative technology. And so we're in the motor industry amongst other businesses, but one of the things that we did is we decided to resign all our new car franchises, and we handed them back, which was very controversial at the time, and we went into sourcing cars on behalf of people. So the easiest way to put this is that we're in the business of selling cars to people that we don't have, to people that we've never met, who've never visited Clonmel, which is where I'm from. And it's called WeSourceAnyCar.com. And it basically is where we do all the running and the racing. We find the car, we compete on price. Our reputation for the last 30 years obviously copper fastens the whole process, and we have people visiting Clonmel literally on a daily basis from all over the country just for the purpose of collecting their car. So it's called virtual selling, and it's completely different, and it seems that people who have busy lives with kids and all that don't want the grief and hassle of listening to 5 different car salesmen in one day, because that would wreck your head. They want somebody else to do it, provided A, the quality is good, and B, the price stands up with the competition. competition. So we've got a niche in the market, and it brought a lot of clients, and the clients ultimately recovered our business.
So in a nutshell, George, if your business isn't working or if you have problems, it's down to you to change.
Yeah, absolutely. In every aspect of life, it's down to you. If your business is not working, there's a reason why. That could be debt, it could be fatigue, it could be anything. It could be that you've just lost your way. It could be that you're not engaging with these technologies. And so I say to people, if you were to start business tomorrow morning, what would you do differently? Write those things down and then ask yourself, how do I go and achieve them now? Anyway, I said to the people here today in Monaghan, at the presentation, when last in business did you travel to do some research? When last did you do some self-education? When last did you go and do business with your competition just to see what the experience was like? So there's an awful lot of businesses in Ireland that are failing because they think it's the recession. It's not just the recession. It's the entrepreneurial flame is not flickering as much as it used to, and I think that's because of recession fatigue.
George Morton of the Morton Group, thank you for your time and thank you for fighting the good fight on all our behalfs.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm joined now by Paula Clark, who also has an interesting presentation at today's Border Bizcamp. In a nutshell, Paula, what's your message?
My message is, if you change the way you think, you can change the way you live. I'll be talking to people about 3 very practical, very easy to use tools and techniques. One about taking control of their thoughts and becoming more conscious about what they're thinking about, and a few ideas on how to do that. The second one I'll be talking to people about is the things that you can control, influence and have no control over, and why I'm curious some of the times people end up talking and thinking about the things that they've no control over. And the third thing that I'll talk to people about is the power of language and the words that they use and the impact that has. For example, today is a glorious, beautiful summer's day. If it wasn't, some people might describe it as being miserable or depressing, and it mightn't be miserable or depressing, it might just be grey and cold. So the power of your language, the impact that has on you, on your energy, and more significantly on the other people around you.
So would I be right in kind of putting that into language I would understand, because I'm a bit slow on these things, is that how we communicate to others and how we communicate to ourselves is actually what affects how we act and how we believe and how we think?
Well, I believe that thing starts with either thoughts or feelings. I have a little equation. My E=mc² equation for my life is TF, which is thoughts or feelings, determine attitude, which is A, B determines your behaviour, R is your results, and S is your success. So if you get your thoughts and feelings right, that will bring you dividends, or it will push you forward, Colm, or it'll take you back ways. So, and it's the way you say things to yourself, like, oh, I'm no good at remembering that, or I was never any good at maths, or really, that's not one of my strong points, or sure, me, I'm useless, or I'm a klutz, or I'm always making mistakes. So then what you're going to do is perpetuate that and get more of it, rather than just give me a minute and I might remember that, or I'm actually working on that and I'm getting better at it. And really what I'll be talking to people about is practicing small things, really small, practical techniques, because success isn't measured by knowledge. It's not measured by the knowledge you've got. It's measured by how you take practical use of the knowledge, and there's a time to learn and there's a time for action, and today really is about learning, but tomorrow or this evening is about taking action on some of the things that people are learning.
Now, where do you get your inspiration from? Where has all this come from?
I am absolutely clinical and forensic about the thoughts that I think. I'm clinical about what I read, what I watch, who I spend time with. I would read a lot in the area. I keep up to date with the new books, the new teachings, the new theories, and I carefully choose what I think about, what I focus on, and what I talk about, because that then becomes what I become about.
So literally everything you say is Paula Clark. It's not that you've kind of studied or you have a PhD in positivity.
No.
Well, it's a pity there isn't such a thing,
Which I give myself.
Exactly, the University of Life. Well, Paula, thank you so much for your time. Now, Paula was actually the last speaker here on the day in Border Bizcamp, but she's also the last guest on tonight's show. So I just want to thank Paula and all my other guests, Cecilia Hegarty, George Morton, Nevin Maguire, Bernard Kirk and Shane Martin. I want to thank executive producer Brian Daly, who proved his versatility by doubling as cameraman today. Executive producer David Van Stanton back at base, and Charlie on the desk. Most of all, thank you for watching. I've been Colm Colgan, and I'll talk to you next week.